So she is being mischaracterized. Hopefully we've cleared that up. Also, she has been a tremendous asset to this campaign, to Donald Trump, because there were a lot of people originally, kind of some of the Bernie faction who thought, well, Bernie and maybe someone like a Tulsi Gabbard. I remember that. All right.
My dad's pissed, though.
Tulsi Gabbard. Let's get to Tulsi Gabbard.
So good.
Wednesday afternoon, Donald Trump did announce Tulsi Gabbard would be the Director for National Intelligence. This is his post on Truth. I am pleased to announce that former Congresswoman Lieutenant Colonel Tulsi Gabbard will serve as Director of National Intelligence, and she's very intelligent. People say she's the most intelligent. I say, well, wait, I'm in the room, but... Over the 2 decades, Tulsi has fought for our country and the freedoms of all Americans, not just some Americans, but all. As a former candidate for the Democrat presidential nomination, she has broad support in both parties. She is now a proud Republican. Tulsi will make us all proud. Use a little help. Now.
That's where her stripe came from. Party change.
Party change.
That's what it is. By the way, didn't she make it further into the 2020 than Kamala Harris?
Yes.
Much.
I think she did. Yeah, that's right.
She came the closest that I've ever seen on a world stage, political world stage, to world starring another woman.
Yes.
What she did with Kamala Harris.
Yeah, she did.
I mean, Kamala Harris's weave was left on that stage.
And she immediately withdrew from the race.
Yes. Yes, she did.
And her Bengals.
So for those of you who don't know, she's a war veteran. She was in Congress. She replaced Hirono there in Hawaii and did run for president in 2020 for the Democratic Party, that nomination. Okay, so I know that a lot of people are maybe mistrustful. And by the way, I think that's reasonable. It takes a little more time to build that trust. But she's made some great strides. So the responsibilities for this job, she's basically going to be overseeing like 18 agencies, right? So think FBI, CIA, NSA. So it's a pretty important job. And I hope that she starts with the perspective of disbanding. And by the way, it's time for a Mitch McConnell check-in.
Oh, wow.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Oh, wow. Wow. I mean, that's one way to do it.
I don't know if he's taking his own life or if he's just lost.
Yes.
He went for a jog and froze at the wrong moment.
He's deep in thought.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Not anymore.
Trying to find his last thought. So
Or
here's
his
some
mother.
here's some claims that we'll all hear. Okay, again, a lot of muddy waters out there. A claim you'll hear is that Tulsi is a Russian asset who is buddy with Assad.
Tulsi Gabbard for DNI.
Oh, this guy.
Tulsi loves Russia.
Pause. Why is he broadcasting this from a dentist's waiting room after a root canal?
I know.
What is...
By the way, did somebody hit him in the forehead with a ball-peen hammer?
Yeah. What, did he meet David recently? God, it's like there's a dent.
I know.
It looks like the back of my car.
I know.
Perfect freeze.
What bumper after Mitch
world.
McConnell. All right. Let's see the rest of this jackass.
Loves Assad. Assad is a butcher. And she was a member of a cult, too, by the way. Somebody else can look that up. This is not normal.
Someone else can do my work.
I know, you voted for it, but this is a problem. Senate, you better stop some of this. Or literally years and years of norms and decency out the window.
So I'm going to get to the truth in a second, but I think this is an important contrast. We have Kinzinger, right? Guy who was a Republican. Or sorry, but now he's on CNN. Tulsi Gabbard was a Democrat. So I get it. You're going to say, okay, we have two. Here's the difference. Kinzinger is still trying to say, well, actually, my principles haven't. I'm still a Republican. And then every single thing he says is really not Republican at all, or certainly not principled. Tulsi Gabbard has said, you know what? I was wrong about a lot. I thought that I believed, and then I realized that this party not only didn't have my back, I realized that we didn't share the same values. Two very different things. She's not going on the right-wing shows, on conservative shows, saying like, well, actually, I'm still a Democrat, but I'm just, no, she's going, the Democratic Party is so far off the beam. Yeah. I had to leave and I want no part of it. Do you guys comment below? Do you notice that that's a big difference? One seems more genuine. The other seems like the well ran dry and you need dollar bills from somewhere else. So addressing the claim there about being a Russian asset, here's the truth. And this does matter. Tulsi, the support there of some of Russia's actions is directly in relation to her views on Al-Qaeda and ISIS. You may not agree with her, but to say that she's a Russian asset and she just loves Russia and totalitarianism is to ignore There's a timeline we could go through here.
Context.
But let's take a quote from Tulsi in 2015. She said, Al-Qaeda attacked us on 9/11 and must be defeated. Obama won't bomb them in Syria. Putin did. Does that contextually give you a little bit more to chew on? She also thought that, hey, look, you know what? Overthrowing Assad would actually sometimes these strong arm dictators, sometimes these authoritarians. Sometimes, though, when you simply overthrow them without a plan, which is almost like we've seen that. It's almost like we've seen that play out.
Maybe several dozen times, it seems. Almost.
Yeah, that the vacuum gets filled by something worse.
We all know that Bashar al-Assad, the president of Syria, is a brutal dictator. But this resolution's purpose was not merely to recognize him as such. Rather, it was a call to action. Specifically, it was a call to escalate our war to overthrow the Syrian government of Assad. Now, for the last 5 years, the United States, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and others have been working hand in hand in that war to overthrow the Assad government, supposedly for humanitarian reasons. But I ask, how has this war to overthrow Assad actually helped humanity? Terrorist organizations like ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and others have taken over large areas of the country and are in genocide.
Yeah, that was from C-SPAN.
Engaging.
So, that makes sense? Her 2017 visit with Assad, again, the reason was she was hoping to help end the Syrian civil war. She told Jake Tapper right after that meeting, she said, when the opportunity arose to meet with him, I did so because I felt that it's important that if we profess to truly care about the Syrian people, about their suffering, then we've got to be able to meet with anyone that we need to if there's a possibility that we can achieve peace.
That's incredibly reasonable.
Pretty radical, if you ask me. No, it's reasonable as hell.
Can you get comment if you understandable? You don't. Here's the thing. I got to tell you, maybe it's just the way that I'm wired. I don't even have to agree with somebody. I really don't to go. Okay, all right. I can understand where you're coming from,
and I
get it.
The proof was on the ground. Like the Syrian people were being like obliterated by all of this. Like they made videos about these like towns being destroyed. It looked like some post-apocalyptic like hellscape. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, why wouldn't you want to try and end that by talking with this guy? Okay, well, let's just keep destabilizing him. Well, that's what's making everybody come in here and do whatever they want.
Right. Let me ask you. He's
not a good guy. Don't get me wrong.
Well, yeah. Is her position more untenable than calling George W. Bush a warmonger and Code Pink and now demanding never-ending hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine?
I don't understand why the Cheneys aren't getting behind her.
Yes. Now, to be fair, right, on behalf of the critics here, sometimes Tulsi can maybe miss the mark a little bit. For example, Russia still hasn't quite embraced the spirit of aloha.
Presidents Putin, Zelensky, and Biden, it's time to put geopolitics aside and embrace the spirit of aloha, respect and love for the Ukrainian people by coming to an agreement that Ukraine will be a neutral country, no military alliance with NATO or Russia, and therefore alleviate the legitimate security concerns of both U.S. and NATO countries as well as Russia, because there'd be no Russian or NATO troops on each other's non-Baltic borders. This would allow the Ukrainian people to live in peace. Aloha.
Yeah, I know it sounds nice, but Putin responded by immediately face-fornicating a lay. So it didn't quite go.
Oh, wow. Whoa! He's been hitting the gym.
All right. Whoa! Look at Vladdy Glutes.
Doesn't skip leg day.
We are Russian assets because we were overly flattering.
We were
in our portrayal.
Not sure why, but we did.
I think Devin really went into her research there.
Is your spirit of aloha? Look, I even have big Hawaiian table for you.
Devin had that Photoshop in 7 seconds. She's like, "Oh, I've been waiting for this."
The only thing I like more than this lay is your mother. Yes.
Bring me the pig next.
That's right.
No, not the actual pig. I was talking about
Liz Cheney.
Oh,
I need to get hard as rock. I watch Moana.
Aloha.
Just like, come on, please embrace the spirit of aloha. I will tell you
sounds
this.
silly.
They're laughing at you. Now, let's go through just to recap the pros and the cons on Tulsi. And again, all the references available. You guys can list some more if I've missed some. You can go click the link in the description. So some pros. She's very much opposed to the expansion that we've seen of the federal surveillance powers, the systems that be. So in 2020, she and Thomas Massie introduced some legislation that would repeal the Patriot Act. Okay.
Right.
She's a very staunch defender of free speech. All right. And you wouldn't think this is a pro, but to me it is. She was put on a terror watch list this year for her criticism of the Harris-Biden regime.
My own government has placed me on a secret terror watch list, targeting me
you're an
as a
X-Man.
potential domestic
She
terrorist.
looks like it, for real.
Why? Political retaliation. I spoke out about how dangerous Kamala Harris would be to our nation if she were to be elected as president, and why the American people should be very concerned.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Put on a terror watch list.
Jeez.
People talk about Donald Trump being an
know.
authoritarian, a fascist. People who disagreed with the president and vice president were put on terror watch lists. That happened. Some cons. All right. And I want to be clear here. Mm-hmm. Some of these, she may have changed her viewpoints, but there hasn't been enough time. All right. So it's not lost on me, but she's opposed a lot of conservative policies, a lot of Trump policies, including she actually called Trump personally Saudi Arabia's bitch.
That's a little over the top.
At one point in time, she opposed Donald Trump leaving the Iran deal. That's a big one for me. I'd like to hear an explanation on that. She cited China as a partner and criticized Donald Trump on his trade war, things like tariffs. She opposed Trump's withdrawal from the Intermediate Nuclear Forces Treaty with Russia after Russia violated the treaty. So some people may say, okay, maybe she's not been remarkably consistent there. There are some pros, there are some cons. She's not perfect, but I will tell you this. Well, first off, she's being mischaracterized by the left, but they'll do that anyway. No matter who you are, they will do it. They did it with George Bush. They did it with Ronald Reagan. They did it with Nixon. They did it with Mitt Romney, for crying out loud. And they've certainly done it with Donald Trump. And now, as you see, they're doing it with every single conservative across this country. So she is being mischaracterized. Hopefully, we've cleared that up. Also, she has been a tremendous asset to this campaign, to Donald Trump, because there were a lot of people originally, kind of some of the Bernie faction who thought, well, Bernie and maybe someone like a Tulsi Gabbard. I remember that. So those people, maybe it's a small slice, all of a sudden we're willing to listen. Kind of like the RFK voters. So I am grateful that she has done that, and I am cautiously optimistic. People can change. People's viewpoints can develop. But I hear the criticisms. I think some are valid, and I think some, hey, just warrant an explanation and a little more time. But there's a lot there to like. Hey, if you're still watching, you can comment below or click this video playing in a box. Shut up. Shut up. You can tune in live weekdays, 10 a.m. Eastern, because that's the full show. Which you can say, shut.
I didn't say anything.
I know you didn't say anything. I could feel it. Click like.